I'm not scared.
I'm Luke Hutchie.
Hello! I work at the morgue. That's what Matthew would look like if he got arrested.
All right, Florence Pugh, take it away.
And I'm Matthew Finlan, Captain Colin Swayze. We checked your resume. That's a wrap. Jeevers, it said you can ride a horse.
Our mission is to investigate allegedly spooky locations and figure out if they are truly haunted.
I'm just an actor.
Possess me, demon!
As we step off the script and into our own thriller, do you know how you communicate with the dead? We'll invite a special celebrity guest to come with us to each investigation.
Don't kill the messenger.
Immediately terrified.
I'm here to prove that ghosts are in fact real. I don't trust the ghosts.
No, I'm not going. I'm not going.
And spoiler alert, they're not.
I'm here to terrorize her.
Sit back,
Oh my God!
relax, and enjoy the show
Every part of me is scared.
This isn't even funny anymore.
as we invite you to come ghosting.
The little girl who is in this room is your spirit trapped in this doll. Chef's kiss.
I'm Matthew Finlan. I'm an actor. You may know me from Orphan First Kill or Brazen on Netflix, Ezra on Out TV. And essentially, I am someone who acts in horror and loves the genre just as much. I'm also an avid believer in the paranormal.
I'm Luke Hutchie. I'm a Megan Fox lookalike, professionally speaking. Don't Google it though, nothing will come up. I use like an alias. But I'm an actor and a television producer, and I am one of the creators of Ghosting, which drops January 26th on CBC Gem.
The idea came out of a real life scenario that was as spontaneous and as fun as the show is itself. Luke and I were in San Francisco for a movie premiere, and Luke didn't know that Alcatraz was off the shores of San Francisco. And so then it became a mission for us to make it to the island. And everything went wrong that you can imagine. The best we could do on one day's notice was this little wooden dinghy that could get us like halfway there, but not quite. And so many things went wrong on the boat. That's a whole chapter to dive into. But by the time we made it back to shore, we were killing ourselves laughing with how many things had gone wrong. And then the idea that we have no business being in Alcatraz, except for the fact that we love horror. We would love to look for ghosts. And then our good friend, Bukola Ayoka, who was also in the movie that we were in San Francisco to see. And she's our guest star on episode #1. She was on the boat with us, and we whipped our phones out and just started pretending like we were on a paranormal investigative show. And we had Alcatraz in the background, and we just started riffing. And it was an idea that was so good that it just kept going. I'll also say Luke knows how to take an idea from the tiniest kernel to the actual thing. So like, yeah.
We didn't get to Alcatraz. I feel like that's one of the biggest regrets of my life.
Yeah, it's not too late.
We got like maybe 3 arms length. Okay, that's a bit dramatic. Maybe like 5 arms lengths. Like we were close. Like we were in the proximity of Alcatraz, but we were not allowed to go there. So we kind of just circled around it a bunch of times, which I don't feel like it's the same experience as going inside. So I think we just have to go back at some point. You know what I just realized that we should have done, Matthew? We should have put on the special thanks of episode 1, Alcatraz.
That was a missed opportunity. And Skipper, he was the captain of the boat, and
I'm
he
not
kind of.
thinking Skipper.
You're not thinking Skipper? Okay, fine. No thanks to Skipper, but Alcatraz for sure.
The guy who was driving the boat, his name was Skipper. This man has come up in every interview. He was just like,
yeah.
If you like put everybody on the boat into teams, I would say we were like the last team he was rooting for, and if that makes sense. So it's just funny that out of that boat, so much was born when it was like we were not set up for success on that boat.
Never. It's called My Fake Boyfriend. Check it out on Amazon Prime. I'm in it. Just fast forward to 29 minutes. You'll see the best scene. That's all you got to see.
we are the hosts of the show. Basically, the structure in which this show technically the structure in way like this show operates is basically me and Matthew are kind of like the spearheads of the why. So we'll basically introduce where we're going. Matthew will explain why it's supposed to be haunted, and that has a lot to do with the history or the folklore, and basically setting up the foundation as to why people believe it is haunted. And then from there, my angle is basically to look for the holes in Matthew's story or just work to prove that there's any other logical answer for something rather than, oh, it's a haunted house. And so we kind of basically have our, opposite opinions that battle each other throughout the episode, but we have a celebrity special guest in the center who's basically completely virginal to anything. They don't know where they're going. They don't know why it's haunted. They don't know anything. Like, they know nothing about anything until maybe an hour before we start filming. So they have no idea. So they're kind of almost there as the audience's POV, where they're learning in real time and they're seeing it in real time. And all three of those perceptions of the night lead us to the verdict of if this place was actually haunted or not.
Yeah, I'd say definitely. Yeah, Luke and I reach our own conclusions. Whether it's the same conclusion, you got to check it out. It's different every time. I'm definitely the believer. I am the big believer of the two of us. That being said, yeah, okay.
I would say there's no good, there's no bad. I think it's being open to what happens. But I will say, Matthew would lean more into oh my God, the wallpaper is beige, and I was thinking about the word beige earlier today, and now that means it's haunted. And I'm just more it's a beige wall, move on. And so I think those angles.
Okay, I would like to say I think the evidence I lean into is a little bit stronger than that. If I was give me a noise and the radiator turns on, I might be okay, yes, the radiator turned on, but we asked for a noise and that's the radiator. That could be a thing. But
the biggest
Luke's
thing is
definition of proof is crazy.
Always the thing that it's always different. We never are married to those roles. That's what I'm trying to say.
Truth.
It could go so left or so right. It just depends on what happens.
And that's the exciting thing, because Luke and I have never visited the locations. Every time you see us arrive on the show, it is the first time we've arrived in real life. So that was really cool to do the research before going there and then being oh, this is where the people died, or oh, this is the staircase they were talking about. Things like that really click, and then you can feel the energy. Very cool. So we have a team that scouts the location before we go to learn the logistic things about where to put the cameras, where are the outlets, things about the space. And sometimes they would learn things those days that would later get relayed to us. But otherwise, we would do all of our research ahead of time and sort of find the hauntings or the spirits that were known to reside in this particular spot, and then the local history around it. So we would find a local cooperator, somebody who was really familiar with the property, and we'd ask them a bunch of questions about the history and the haunts.
But the biggest thing for us was in the setup, in the pre of the filming, was making sure that every story was different and we kind of weren't doing the same thing twice. So we had me and Matthew, as well as Jonathan Judemore and Riley Brooke Yerxa. We had our team, and we were all kind of just poking and trying to find places. And then once we kind of were married to even the short form story of that place, then me and Matthew did know why we were going there. We understood why people would think it'd be haunted, but knowing, I might know I'm going to a castle, but if I walk in and the stairs are smashed and there's knives everywhere, I don't really know if I care anymore that it's haunted. I'm more just what the hell is going on here? So we know about I would say 50%, and then as soon as we walk in, we're oh.
It's when you order clothes online, you see the picture, there's what you expect you're getting, and then it shows up and you're oh, this is what it is, this is how it fits. Okay.
For this show, though, I think that's also the fun of it, is because the premise is so baked into the fact that it's you're taking actors or essentially people that don't know what they're doing. And so for us to show up with everything wrong. We had no idea this isn't even the right house. Something is just so out of left field. And then we're like, okay, well, we're here. We're going to have to just figure it out. It kind of just plays into the, you know, it's like an extension of just that fun that people have with their friends when they're just being stupid. So it's a really fun way of trying to still figure out how to make things work, but we're basically just pulling things out of air as we're going through. Not all the time, but it definitely happens. We literally know nothing. The first time Matthew used half the tools was on that, like,
was on air. Yeah, I was like using the REM pod for the first time, using the EMF detector, you know, all of these tools for the first time. I'd seen how they're used, and I had technically like turned them on and done a demo in an office to make sure I knew what buttons to press. But in terms of like actually trying to use them to contact anything paranormal, yeah, you see it all on camera for the first time. So it really is like a how to ghost hunt for dummies kind of. Yeah. Things that definitely happened. I don't want to go into like super specifics about what location, what room, what hotspot, because the exciting thing is about this series, all 8 episodes come out at the same time this Friday, January 26th. So you can binge them all. You can see all the haunts, all the tools, all the spaces. It's very cool. But yeah, we had things like responses from the REM pod going off at like conversational levels, which was really exciting.
We definitely had a lot of crazy things. There was a demon that knew my birthday, which was really funny. That was a wild ride. We also had, I mean, jury's out on this, but an alleged possessed doll, which the doll was acting in a possessed manner, I'll tell you that. We had used Matthew's light up box, which most people call a REM pod, but I call the light up box. We used it a lot in many different places, and then there was just like, we had been in this like old creepy ass Victorian house, and it had never just like, I don't like, it almost was like seizing, like it had never just gone off in like a very immediate reactive way, and it was like so crazy because the whole night was just very like this. And all of a sudden, at like 3 a.m., this thing is like screaming, and that was the only time I was ever scared. Or not, I guess, yeah, scared. Like,
I saw the REM pod make noises I didn't even know it could make. Like, I had never seen it go to purple. Like, you know, like the 4 light colors lighting up. Like, we had some responses that were like, I don't know. Like, this is everything in the show was outside of my knowledge, but that was especially outside of my knowledge. I was like, I have no idea what's happening here anymore.
I don't think I would freaked out.
Yeah.
I will say the McDonald log cabin, I don't know why, and maybe it's just because like I associated it with like when you're in grade 4 and you go to like the Pioneer Village. I don't know. Like there was nothing inherently like scary or weird or like whatever, but I think it was because it was just so visually compelling and different from like what you would assume your own comfort zone is, that it made it feel, I think, just to me like more cinematic or theatrical, or like I really was somewhere else, because it's obviously from like, I don't know the math, but like 200 years ago, give or take. And so it just kind of sells you in that perspective of like, you're not in a normal situation, which I think helps heighten like, oh, maybe there is something different here. Like, I'm not scared of a ghost in a Walmart, you know what I mean? But like a cabin surrounded by trees, I'm like, oh.
I'd say for me, one of the spots that I was excited, nervous, fearful about was the SDG jail in Cornwall. I don't know if you've explored that or not, because they say, you know, like tragedy plus time equals haunting, you know, sometimes. And so at a spot like a jail, there's so much, especially the SDG, when you look into its history, it was some brutal, brutal sentences and torture that happened there. So we just going in, I was like, this place is energetically charged. You could kind of feel it. That's also an awesome episode. We have the Grandes in that, Frankie Grande, Hill Grande, and I was pleasantly surprised at how serious they took it. Not without any fun. They still fun and very entertaining, but very much like myself, they were like, we need answers. Let's figure this out. So yeah, that's a great one. Check it out.
Hale's very competitive by nature, so if you give him
Yeah.
any task, he like needs to be the one that does it the best. So it was a very interesting. It was almost like Frankie became Matthew and Hale became me, but they both they were both leaning into it, but it was really funny to watch
Yeah.
that. It was just funny. I 10 years ago went to an acting class with Hale, and that's how I met him. And as the years went on, Hale met Frankie, and they are now married. And so I know the Grandes through Hale. And I've known Frankie for years. And then we were talking last summer, and this was brought up. And he was like, "Oh my God, I want to do that so bad." And I was like, "Okay, well, when the time comes and that email shows up," and lo and behold, then we filmed the show, and it was so fun, and it was just I love having that. Like the thing with us is like everybody on the show is a friend, so I think it helps add into the stupid thing. Like it wasn't like these people were strangers, so it's like even if those cameras weren't there, it probably would have been the same exact thing. Like it was just that stupid fun, but definitely having Frankie and Hale come onto the show was such like it was such like a honor to have them on the show, but it also was just so fun because when you think of them, it's like America and American, and it's like these big like Grande family. You think of big, and we brought them to Cornwall, Ontario. Where the hell is even that? And it was just so funny because they're like, they're like, "Where's Toronto? Like, where are we? Like, what is happening?" And it was just so funny to take them to the middle of where I consider nowhere. And it was just so funny to have like the dichotomy of what that was. And yeah, it was so exciting to have them. And I think their episode definitely has a weird blip in it towards the end. I think people, but yeah.
When you were kids, you used to play like Bloody Mary in the bathroom at like a sleepover or something, and like you were scared, but you're laughing just as much. It's very much that. You're watching friends have fun hunting for ghosts. Yeah. That one was super, super duper fun. That was actually the last episode that we filmed. So we were as close to experts as we were the entire season. Let's put it that way. We still had no idea what we were doing, but we had done it for the longest amount of time. That's super fun. Cynthia Kiss from Canada's Drag Race is our guest on that one. Really fun to bring a drag queen to a theater. And yeah, that building has such a rich, rich history. Like I knew, because I'm a theater guy, like I grew up in the theater, I wanted to go to a theater, and Ontario has so many. But the Aurelia Opera House in particular stands out because of like the fire, the jail that used to be in the basement, the tortures that happened. There are lots of death that goes on there. So right away it was like, oh, this place is like teeming with history. Let's go. And we narrowed it down to 3 hotspots. And for us, a lot of the activity we found was, yes, in the main space, but then also,
I think again, because this show it's not like the show isn't designed to necessarily be like, I mean, it's not designed to be scary. It's not designed to make you afraid of something. It's just designed to essentially just be fun and find a new way to showcase talent places in the country. And I think when we were, talking with everybody, we wanted to make sure that like, we're not trying to sell you like, oh my God. And so for us, we got to work really closely with them, and they couldn't have been better. But was a roller coaster, 100%. So much was not made in to that episode as well, which I don't think I can even. I know I'm not allowed to bring up, but it was a beautiful house. It was definitely so fun.
it was just exactly that when we started looking for locations. Different paranormal investigative teams were giving us suggestions and things, so we would definitely look at that list for sure.
It was really funny though, because we did go on those like ghost tours to try to find places, and it was like all the same 5 main. So funny.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not scared.
I'm Luke Hutchie.
Hello! I work at the morgue. That's what Matthew would look like if he got arrested.
All right, Florence Pugh, take it away.
And I'm Matthew Finlan, Captain Colin Swayze. We checked your resume.
That's a wrap.
Jeepers, it said you can ride a horse.
Our mission is to investigate allegedly spooky locations and figure out if they are truly haunted.
I'm just an actor.
Possess me, demon!
As we step off the script and into our own thriller, do you know how you communicate with the dead? We'll invite a special celebrity guest to come with us to each investigation.
Don't kill the messenger.
Immediately terrified.
I'm here to prove that ghosts are in fact real. I don't trust the ghosts.
No, I'm not going. I'm not going.
And spoiler alert, they're not.
I'm here to terrorize her.
Sit back,
Oh my God!
relax, and enjoy the show
Every part of me is scared.
This isn't even funny anymore.
as we invite you to come ghosting.
Little girl who is in this room, is your spirit trapped in this doll? Chef's kiss.